Hey everybody, there's two things I want to talk about today. One is just practicing and techniques, and the other one is tab. And if you don't know what that is, you're going to know soon. And it's basically an easy way to read music without reading music. So I'm going to show you quickly how to read tab. It's quite easy once you get used to it, and you can read really fast if you just take a little bit of time and do it. So anyway, practicing. You're like, Mandy, okay, everybody practices. What are you talking about? Okay, everybody practices, that's fine. Let's assume you're practicing 3 times a week, 4 or 5, whatever, however many times you practice in a week. When you practice, what do? Well, you sit down and you work on maybe one of my songs, or you work on a song you found on the internet somewhere, or you're just trying to figure out, a song that you like. That's all good, and that's a good way to practice. However, it's also good, and you're not going to like this, but this is how we get better, right? It's also good to practice things that are hard for you, things that you're having a hard time with. Let's say there's a particular phrase in a song that's hard for you, a section full of pull-offs or whatever it may be. That dreaded F chord, okay? You can't transfer fast enough, and you just kind of always get stuck on that F chord. Well, what I'm going to tell you to do is I'm going to tell you to practice that. So I would recommend every single time you practice some of those things that you have a hard time with. And practice them and practice them and practice them. And yes, that's not fun, I know, but we all have to do it to get better, right? That's what we want to do. So that's what I would say to do. Spend a little bit of your practice time warming up. Everybody's all sloppy when they start, right? So warm your hands up, play something that you know well, play it slow, work on your timing. Those are other things you can do to practice. And you say, Mandy, I don't want to do that. Well, work on your timing. You can do it by listening to a metronome, the clicky thing. That is the most boring thing I can think of on the planet, but it does help. Some people really like it. So if you haven't tried it yet, go ahead and try that. Work along with a metronome, just to make sure that you have dead on timing. Your internal clock sometimes is not right, and you have to make sure that that's right. And a metronome can help you there, or a song. Pick your favorite song. Whatever song it is, you count out the beats and you stay with it. If you can count the beats accurately all the way through that song, then you're keeping time with the song. But yes, using a metronome when you play, it also helps with that little click. And I don't know if, you might have heard me talking about this before, but there's a little click in your head. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Where one day you're playing banjo, the next day that little click happens, and you can play banjo and sing at the same time. I know it sounds crazy, but everybody who's experienced it probably understands what I'm saying. There's like a little switch, and you can try and try and try, and just one day that switch is going to be turned on, and you can do it. But anyway, practice. So you can practice your timing. You can practice hard things that are difficult and challenging to you. Here's another thing you can practice. What am I doing? I am standing up with a strap on. Now, you haven't seen me do that a ton, just because it's easier to be in front of a computer and be sitting down. I do have some neck issues, and my old banjo was giving me problems. I got a light banjo. I can stand again, and I'm so happy because I enjoy standing and playing. But if you haven't practiced that way, it's something you need to check out. You need to try it. Get you a strap. They're not expensive. You can get cheap ones, $5-10, okay? You don't have to invest a lot of money in it, but get you a strap and play standing up. Try it. It is completely different than sitting down, and it's a new challenge for you anyway. If your if your practices are getting stagnant and you're not making much headway, try this. It challenges you, and we want to stay challenged all the time. So anyway, that's it on practice. Let's go ahead to tab. All right. Okay, so as I start with reading tab, here's what I want you to look at. Okay, I realized that I had made some people confused with my tablature video. So I wanted to come back and clarify what I was talking about. So if we look down at our banjo from above, we're playing it. We've got our 5th string right here. Our 1st string is at the bottom, farthest away from us. If we take tab, this says tab as you look at your banjo from above. All right? So from above, we see our 5th string. That's our G. Our 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. And our 1st is the farthest away from us, right? Okay. So now, when I talked about it last time, I showed you that we flatten it out. So we flatten out our banjo. So our tablature will read, the closest string to us is our 5th string. So we went from here to here. So that on paper is going to look like this. And I left it that first paper way instead of changing it, so it confused everybody. But basically, this is how we look at it when we look down at it. So our 1st string is farthest away from us, and our 5th string is closest to us. So that if we take our banjo like this and go like that, when we're looking at it on the paper, our 5th string is closest to us, and our 1st string is farthest away from us. And I didn't explain that all the way. So here we go. That is how it looks when we're looking at the paper. Our 5th string is closest to us if we're looking down at it. Our 5th string, it came from up here like this, because this is the 5th string, and that's how we would play our banjo. 5th string. When we turn it and look at it, our 5th string's on the bottom, 1st string's on the top, and this is your basic claw hammer stroke alternating from the 3rd and 4th string. So these zeros are open notes, so you would play the first part of your basic claw hammer stroke, then your brush, then your thumb, then the 4th string as the first step, then your brush, then your thumb. And if we wanted to show you playing, if we wanted to show you fretting a note, what you would see is here, instead of a 0, you'd see a number 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's where you would fret it. You'll never see any numbers on your 5th string, because that's your short string. So that's just plucked open. And so if you see a number 2 right here, then you're going to hit that first note on your 2nd fret of the 3rd string. So if you see it like this, that means that little symbol right there, you might see it with a P sometimes, it means you're pulling off from the 2nd fret of whatever string you're on, but let's say it's here, that would be a pull off. Now, if it looks like this, and it may or not have the H, that symbol means a hammer on. So that if I would hammer on from a 0 to a 2, that means I would pluck the string open. So I would pluck this string open, then I would hammer on at the 2nd fret. That's what that means. And finally, if you see a line straight across, that is a slide. You may see a S, you may not. That is a slide. So that is how we read tablature. And again, when you look at this down from your banjo, you're playing your banjo, that 5th string is on top. And the 1st string is farthest away from your fingers. And when you turn it and look, it's opposite. So the 5th string's down at the bottom now. And that's how we read tablature. And these marks right here represent a measure, one measure. Those little bars, if somebody says a bar of music, that's what they mean. If you're playing in standard time, there's going to be 4 beats in between here. And you may have 2, 3, 4 bars per line. But every time you see that line, that's a bar. That means that measure is complete and you're going on to the next measure. However many beats you're using will go in there. So I hope that clears up what I was talking about. I should have had 2 papers because that is confusing when you look at it like this versus looking at it like this. So anyway, all you're doing is you're taking it, you're playing your banjo, and then you're putting it down to where you can read it. So when you put it down to where you can read it, that 5th string is right here. And if I were to just lift it up, there's the 5th string on top, just like that. So anyway, I hope that cleared everything up, and let me know what you think. A lot of people don't want to try tab. Oh, I don't need it. And you might not, but yet again, it's just another tool you can use, if you want to go farther. And there's lots of great ear players that have never looked at tab, and they could care less about tab, and that's fine. But just like anything else, if one thing works for one person, it may not work for everybody else. You know, you may want to learn how to read music notation. If you do, great. Go for it. Lots of good books on how to do that. I, long ago, just learned tab, and I just enjoy it. It's when I'm writing my own songs and stuff like that, I write out tab. It's something quick, easy. Anybody in the world that plays banjo that knows tab can look at what I've done and they can duplicate it. So anyway, I hope you got a little bit of something out of that today on how to practice and how to read tab. See you next time. God bless you.